Hello there! I'm Squire Callahan Ridgeborn, almost a battle master, always a wizard, and tonight I'm once again joined by Sir Deathlilly Megatron Sunshine. Sir Deathlilly, welcome back to the show. It's so great to have you back.
Great to be back. Yeah, I feel like we just did this.
So, a fun fact of editing is that your original Paragon Barbarian video actually just went live this last Tuesday. Now, this video is not coming out for a couple of weeks or months now, but I had so much fun editing your video, and I felt like I wanted to have you back right away just to pick your brain about all the rest of the classes, because we had such a great conversation around Barbarian. So yeah, welcome back to the show.
I'm excited about it. I think that's the hard part. Like, we talked for a couple of hours, and then we even talked like after the video. You know, there's just so much that this game has to offer, and the excitement of rules changes is always cool because there's just so much to discuss, and like, you know, how we can try to be, you know, better at this thing that we've spent so much time doing.
We spend a lot of time thinking about and playing this game in our heads, even more than we get to in the field. And so it's just good to have somebody else as enthusiastic to talk about this with. It's delightful.
Oh, absolutely. And shameless plug, I assume it'll still be up by the time this video comes out, and I'm sure there'll be lots more stuff done to it, but www.swiftguard.com to check out the new and best running app for our spellbook stuff. It is going to be sweet. Martial classes are coming if they're not already out by then. All of that will be on there for us as well, so we can quick reference everything without having to go and search the rule book for every single piece of information about our class and stuff. So it's beautiful. Right now it's free. It'll be on the App Store. I assume by the time this video comes out, it should be free.
It's going to be awesome. There'll be a link down in the description linking to it. Please check it out. I've been privileged to get some early access and been playing with it. It really is the next generation of spellbook app, and I'm super excited for it. So, definitely, would you remind me your order of paragons and what you've got, so that we've got that going into this call?
Yeah, so I have 5 at the time of recording: a warrior, barbarian, archer, wizard. I knew that. And assassin's the one I play most, probably. I knew it was assassin the whole time. Yeah, crazy.
Hey, 5 is so many, and there's such a breadth of skill there. I mean, obviously you're a battle master, you've got a lot of experience playing this game, but which one of your Paragon classes is your favorite to be playing as still?
So we just, at time of the video, we're fresh out of basically back-to-back events here. So at time of recording, we are basically, less than, Thursday? So like, I guess like 5 days ago, I was at an event, and then like the week before that, I was at SKBC. So like lots and lots of event playing, and I've gotten a chance to try a bunch of class stuff because of the volume of battle games that were played at the MAME event, Minnesota Amp Guard May event for Barbarian. And yeah, you're great. You know, good names, good plugs. They ran in a cool format, tons of games. My goodness, it's like every 15 minutes there's a new game. Basically, it was nutty.
Nice.
It was super busy. But I tried a lot of classes, and I can tell you that warrior felt bad. I think warrior is good, but at least the meta here, and it could be that I have a perception of being all right at playing the class games, that I get targeted down, which is fine, no problem there. But warrior is, like we kind of hypothesized the last time we talked about this, it doesn't have those immunities like the other classes do, so I just eat every command spell. I was odd and terrored and held and frozen, and not a spell ball to be seen in my interactions anyways. There were spell balls around, but I didn't get like ice balled, or not even an attempt at an ice ball, right? I just all verbals down. So that felt super bad. I mean, it was fun, but that felt bad. Or I guess it's not gummy anymore, but that's going to be a hard habit to break. I then gave it a go as monk, which felt fantastic as an point of armor with very little gaps in the basically a gambus and soup. And that was quite good. Some of that, I think, was just shifting from one battle game immediately into another one and being a monk, and people not paying attention to the sash color, and then trying to cast all kinds of things like, terror. I'm like, that's cool, man. I'm a monk. I'm like, oh. I'm like, sash. Like, okay. So that was a good experience. It was just base monk. Base monk is still fantastic. Feels great. Point of armor. Just let me get away with so many things. I'm like, oh, there's an arrow. Oh, crap. I can't block it. And just shoulder it, basically, or just get hit in the arm or whatever. Sweet. Yay, points of armor. So very, very cool. That felt good, but what felt best was Assassin for me, and it always feels like a phenomenal class. The positioning power, if you are not being handicapped by game mechanics, to put yourself where you need to be whenever you need to be there. And I did play that one a couple of times through a couple of games. Like I said, this is a ton of games. I mean, I think they ran like 16 or something games on Saturday. Maybe it was 20 games on Saturday. It was just an insane amount. I did not play in all of them. I am too old. But for the 3 or 4 that I did roll assassin, I rolled one of the times with 100 plus throwaways. So I was just, batter up kind of concept and really just trying to leverage small throwaways, see what that did for me, plus being able to position myself really good. Another time I just went with a more melee centric build trying to get good positioning, and it's just fantastic to be able to put yourself in good spots. And there are plenty of scouts and they didn't do a damn thing. They let me do whatever I want. I even told it was Haj was reaving. I'm like, Haj, because it's a line fight, it's super tight in the confines. I'm like, hey man, I am gonna teleport behind that scout. And he's like, okay. And so I teleport, I go run up there, he doesn't track, I go behind him, I come out, and just mayhem ensued. It was basically it was like a 10 or 12 person kill streak kind of thing before things all fell apart. And
my word, that should not happen behind a scout.
Nope, but it sure did. And to no credit of mine, I just like ran at him. I don't know.
Yeah, that's insane. Okay.
So that worked out. It was super good. I kind of theorized that he would track me out anyway, but probably too late for it to be in the mix of that combat, and I'd just be past the line anyways. So like worst case scenario, he gets me out sooner than me having to announce that I'm coming out, and then take advantage of that mechanic of, hey, thank you for tracking me. I don't have to say I'm not insubstantial. I'm not returning to the physical world while I'm on this run. And now some people that might be within that 20-foot kind of earshot of me, look at me, now don't even realize that I've come there because the scout tracked me, which is always very funny. But I digress. Simple answer, assassin was super, super fun.
That's awesome.
Great.
I gotta ask, because we talked about it for so long, did you get a chance to play Barbarian?
I avoided it like the plague. Now, I do see where there were several instances where I really wanted to play it when I was playing War, and it would have had a place in the game format that we were playing because of the amount of casting I was receiving, being able to at least use Rage as that counter spell and try to take advantage. People weren't staggering out the cast to try to take it, to try to get it within that 7 seconds. It's very complicated, and the person would have to be very, very good to do it. And there are some people who can, and I'm sure there's some people on the field that could have. But there were situations where I did want to play it, and then definitely looked at Haj because he happened to also be in that particular thing reaving, and I'm like, I sure wish this was the 8.5 Barbarian, because I could just see that I'm gonna die if I push this line, but I probably get to fight after death, clear the line, and then get my team to follow up with the heavy object that we happen to be playing. So there's just mechanically a few things missing. And then I did watch several kids go, I'm filled with rage, and immediately charge into combat, get stabbed, and I'm like, no, dude, that's not it. No. So
I took our conversation and I went and I played Barbarian at our June event, and I found that Barbarian Rage means that you can't get removed from the line.
Yeah.
Nobody was taking anything other than Ice Ball. And so, being just immune to the Ice Balls, and then anytime anyone tried to cast verbals on me, I think the entire battle game, I only had one verbal successfully land, and that was from Pittacus, who successfully staggered. I tried to triple chain Rage, and on the second chain, Pitt was able to finish the incant before I could finish I Am Filled with Rage into the third, and hit me with the I don't know what it was, because I ended up getting swarmed and dying anyway, but
sure.
Pitt got me. But other than that, no one could cast on me the whole time. It was great.
That's so interesting, yeah, because our field was it's just so cool how different the metas can be depending on where you're playing. Because the Ice Ball, I mean, I maybe saw 2 people throwing them. I'm sure there were more. There had to be more. There was 200 people at this, 250 people at the event. So, and our games were pretty packed. There had to be more than 2 people throwing Ice Balls, but it didn't feel like it. And I was even playing classes that could be susceptible to Ice Ball, and it just never really happened. But anyways, Barbarian, I don't know if
it wasn't right there, but it wasn't as bad as we thought.
Well, that's good. I'm happy to hear it. I'm gonna keep going back to the drawing board on this class until I can hammer in where it works for me, at least in the play style that I want to play. And I mean, I imagine it'll still be fine. No class is strictly so terrible you should never play it. There's plenty of places that these classes can fit. Some classes do it better, but then personal play style should matter. So
I gotcha. All right, so some Battle Knight, Battle Master style questions here for you then. So, I know that you just came back from MAME, and that was an action-packed event, but when available, do you like to pre-evaluate battle games, or do you just kind of roll up to them and see what happens?
So it definitely depends. So there's been plenty of times where I'm like, all right, cool. Me and my friends in the fighting company, we're gonna try to take the event serious. They've posted the rules. Sweet. We should at least be familiar with like what are the mechanics, what's the respawn times. Cool. But more times than not, I feel like I get burned because then they end up changing something mechanically. So now I've prepped and prepared and kind of memorized whatever it is and like taken this seriously, been ready to do it. And they're like, oh yeah, we're changing the spawn mechanic. It's no longer whatever. It's now going to be this. And then they'll change it again into some other game. And now the consistency, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And to some degree, unless they're doing something very outside of the norm, depending on like where you're playing, there's just that same kind of rotation of similar games. So once you kind of know the core kind of like, is it a control point game? Is it a heavy object game? Is it a capture the flag game? Once I basically know the premise of all of those games, I don't have to prep nearly as much because CTF, you know, what do I need to know? What's my spawn time? Am I pushing the flag or pulling the flag? Like, is it, oh, I have to bring it back to my base or I have to push it to yours? It's more like neutral bomb or, you know, is it neutral flag? Is there one flag center? You know, what do I have to do with that? Do we have multiple flags? You know, but as long as I understand, like, what's the flag mechanic? What's my respawn time? And is there something else going on that's bizarre? Let's say terrain effects, if they wanted to add that. Not everybody does. Then maybe I learned that. But, like, on the fly is generally okay because there's just enough experience now with the core games that we play. However, you can give me like oh my goodness, there was some game that had like 4 or 5 terrain effects on the field in the CK one of the years that I was there, and like one like suppressed you, one was like fire. If you just go in there and not proflame, you die. I'm like, what? And everything is a plethora of goofy colors on the ground to try to manage. And I'm like, this is a nightmare scenario. I cannot possibly like remember everything while trying to navigate this game, and those are hard.
It's easy to get overcomplicated quickly with those kinds of games. You really want to just keep them 2, maybe 3 effects if you want to be effective.
Yeah, well, I mean, that just comes down to, I mean, that'll be a side tangent, but game design and game balance are extremely important. And if the game designers and the game runners are doing a really good job, there's just core mechanics that are simple that everyone understands. At the end of the day, my game shouldn't be about how smart am I, but can I get everyone to play it? Because it needs to be accessible to hundreds of people in some scenarios, right? And if I have 200 confused people, it's flared tempers, it's bad times, and it can affect the entire outcome of how this event goes by people being, you know, pissed off. So you can mitigate that with good game design to some degree. And but that's a whole Smith thing that we don't want to talk about right now. But
it should take less than 5 minutes to explain the game, because if it takes more than that, you're overcomplicating it and you lost half of everybody anyway.
Oh, they're not paying attention. And then you just got to figure we have cross gamers too, right?
Oh yeah, they don't know what's going on.
It's all, you know, unless they're a very seasoned cross gamer, you're just like, yeah, okay, man, what is shoves? Like, oh no. And we can't fix all of those problems. But if we now add the extra complexity of crazy mechanics, but again, that's a Smith thing. I don't need to go down the Smith rabbit hole and talking about all that stuff. But it is important to keep in mind if you're going to go into a game in general, paying attention to what the rules are is important. Like, I would definitely encourage people to read them if they're posted. Or ask. It can be a little, some people are sensitive about you posting to ask for game rules if they exist. Teach their own on that. I don't think that's very offensive. I think, you know, you should. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And then worst case scenario, go and pay attention. Like, it's fun to talk to your friends, but like if you want to take the game seriously, go listen to the rules. Like, understand them and you'll have a better time probably.
Yeah. Yep. Or send a delegate that will like bottom line it for you. Give me the TLDR at the battle game.
Mm-hmm. Well, and heck, even instead of bombarding the poor game runner or the Reeve, if I was irresponsible, got caught up talking to friends or whatever, and I'm like, oh no, hey, what's the spawn time to somebody random? They're like, I don't know, man. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just go ask them. They're done talking. And I can walk with them a little bit because there's still that little passing period of the teams putting headbands on if you got them or whatever. And I can just be like, hey man, my bad. What's the respawn time and the mechanic? Let's capture the flag. Like, okay, anything weird I need to know? 60 seconds from death. Okay, cool. You know.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Once the battle game gets started, how do you decide where you're going and what you're doing?
It can depend so wildly from if the game is a flat open field game. Is there zero terrain, like not a tree in the world?
Let's make it as simple as possible. There are no trees. It's a flat, empty field. Let's say it's a node capture game. There are 5 nodes. What are you doing?
Cool. Well, in my case, I generally have between 3 and 6 players in the company with me at these events. Usually it's probably more like 6, and if we all get the privilege to play together, then cool. I've got 6 players, including myself, that we can go and try to hold some objective. If there's 5, and let's say they're just evenly split, plus sign, we may play in a position where we can try to hold a flank node. Right or left doesn't necessarily matter. That's kind of a point of preference. Maybe I happen to see somebody that's really strong moving towards one of the other nodes. It's an open field, so it becomes sort of complex. And depending on how things go, and some of this changes depending on skill level of the individual and then the skill level of the group that you're rolling with. If we think that we can out-skirmish the other groups that might try to skirmish with us, then that can kind of change, and we can pivot from having to try to hold one objective and just get into a position where we can zone out multiple objectives. We can't afford to be on it, but we can afford to float in between it, and hopefully the rest of our team then, if we're not, let's say, openly just like, hey man, hey guy, I don't know, can you go stand on that objective? It's a super selfish thing, but our little squad's gonna go kill all those guys, we're gonna do it, or whatever the case is, right? And just understanding simple mechanics, like if we're on a node, fighting on or behind the node is almost always objectively worse than fighting in front of the node to stop the enemy team from being able to walk onto the node. You don't want them to ever be able to just access it freely. That mechanic may seem simple, but it does get overlooked a lot. Just like pushing a heavy object, if you're always behind it, they can walk up to it. If you're in front of it, you only need so many people to actually push or pull that object. That's a different game mechanic, but same thing applies here. Be in front of the objective if you can, depending on, again, terrain. Open field, flat, sure, same thing. If there's a wall, there's something to be said about fighting inside the walls versus fighting outside the walls, versus like leveraging the ability to fight over, cast over, shoot over, if you can even do that. If you can't do that, that kind of changes. But if there's a time limit on the game, every minute matters, and every minute you slow the enemy down from scoring is points that you score depending on the scoring mechanic of the game. I suppose I should preface it with that. All of these little things kind of come together. So to come back around, to sum it up, for me, if it's a flat open 5 node cap game, we can't control every point, but we'll win one. And that hopefully then allows us to send more bodies elsewhere to try to help win or contest other points if we have to work strictly in that kind of sense. Because if we only have to sacrifice 6 people, maybe we can even decide like, okay, we're doing really well with 6, and now the enemy team has kind of gone, we don't really want to deal with that anymore. That sucks. We're going to send even less people. Now we just get like 3. Well, we can probably 3v3. So we may be able to afford to send 3 of our 6-man group off to go float and help in these other scenarios, or just kind of reinforce where they need. So hopefully we can win by number. I guess the term, there was a term in the past, I can't remember it now, but it's something about the warlord effect. If you have a warlord flank and people understand that they are one, they can identify that's the warlord. And in this case, Battlemaster, why not? We'll go that way. It used to be that you would send as many bodies as required to beat that person, because a 1v1, if they're not equivalent or greater skill, is probably just going to lose, and that guy's going to continue to flank. So understanding this mechanic means that if, let's say, I'm rolling solo into this game, let's say I just come visit the RW and I don't have any friends. What do I do?
You can fight with me. This sounds great.
Well, that's the easy answer. But some place I've never gone, I don't know nobody, and I have to roll out there. How do I contribute as a solo player? Is now, I mean, I don't know if that's a question that you have, but that I think is a concept that really matters. And in this case, I can leverage the skills that I've acquired by putting myself into a flanking position like that, and just seeing how many bodies come to start to try to stop me. And if they only send 1, they're like, oh, they don't really know that guy, let's go fight him. And they miss the combat computer plug. I taught that class this year. If they don't identify, like, I see that warlord favor, I see the armor, whatever, they just go, ah, cool, I'm an unarmored, like, barbarian, I'm going to go get that guy, and they lose, they may go, oh, crap, now I've got a good flank, I run it. They're going to start to send more bodies. Once I've hit the, like, peak, oh, man, I can't really win this in combat anymore. Let's call it, I mean, realistically, 2 people should be one person every time, but we'll say it's 5 people. 5 people is the number that they found that they need to stop me from doing this flank. Excellent. I never need to engage the 5 people anymore. I just need to be adjacent to them in combat. If they can hit me, I'm too close.
You're just kiting the 5 people at that point.
Just kite 5 people. Because now we've sacrificed 1, we have a 4-player advantage somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully the numbers then, and node cap specifically, where it really matters about bodies, or even like capture the flag, that's 4 more people who can try to get the flag and run it.
Yeah.
Well, they have 5 people not on defense. And if I can get freebies, maybe I take freebies. That's a personal preference. That's a whole different, 1v many tactics class. That's a thing to talk about. In this particular instance, at least for this question that I've totally tangented on, I no longer need to fight them. And I will go as far as to, when I see those situations, now we'll rewind a little. If I see something like that happening, and I see that there's a warlord or somebody of high skill that's going to go over there and be a problem, if I can assess quickly who's around me that has a skill advantage because of class, maybe it's a caster who can just go and icy blast them and just be done with this thing for a little bit, and let them get enough bodies to kind of work this advantage that we just gained by going 1v1, cool, he's down. We didn't have to sack extra bodies. Or in the case of that guy is good, but this other person on my team has got that guy's lunch money. He's been beating him all day. Good matchup, whether it's the kit or just fighting skill. Hey, I don't know. Tugin, let's throw a Tugin shout out. Hey man, I need you to go double leg that guy and send him over there to go take a W. Perfect. Now, if they die, they need to communicate over to wherever we are that hey, dead. I'm not saying you should talk, dead don't influence the game, but dead, lost, I should be paying attention, watching that, oh, okay, cool. Or he won it, now we know we can really push our flank, we're not going to get run over. Super big tangent. There's just so many aspects to that.
There's a lot to unpack there. I'm left with a follow-up question that I think will be kind of fun. You're a warlord. Let's say you're going up against a random warlord. If you got to pick your class to go up against a fellow warlord, what class are you running?
Well, that's the thing, we never get to choose, right? I'm picking my class before I know what my matchup is, and that's really challenging.
What the other warlord's running, but if you know there's a warlord on the other team that is specifically going to try to counter you, what are you gonna run?
See, would have been Barbarian. Maybe if I can get the armor break past Barbarian, the fight after death lets me close that. We talked about it a little bit in the other video for Barbarian, but being able to make sure that they go with me, incredibly important. Now, it would probably still be a pretty good matchup into most classes because I think it's still 1v1s pretty well. Mm-hmm. Armor breaking is still very good. The little bit of immunity is cool. But if they're coming in as a caster or let's say a druid or something that really has access to affecting whatever I'm doing, the problem is if they know that they can pick something to counter what I'm doing kind of specifically, it's very strong. It's very, very, very hard. Now you got to play around with hell, a good wizard. They don't even have to be a warlord, right? Mm-hmm. A super good wizard can counter me if they are able to leverage their ambulance and make sure that they're getting their woundings off or their heat weapons. Am I under-equipped into this matchup? Did I bring one sword? And I'm like, oh, well, that's heated. I'm in trouble, There's, but that kind of
realistically for that. But
there's so many, but it kind of circles into if I had to make a quick preference, preferential choice into having to battle that way, I may even avoid the warlord. I would play a class that assassin that allows me to position well. Here they are, here they come, they're playing paladin, they're in a good spot, or they're playing AP, they're in a good spot. I'm just the assassin. All right, well, cool. I could try to duke this out with my 2 points and probably Florentine. Maybe I'm using a long, maybe, whatever. But let's say I've got just 2 short swords and some armor, and they're in 4 points, and they're pretty optimal kit. That kind of sucks. I might be able to win that if we're if we're equal skill, let's say, maybe I can win that fight. But they, for every point of skill that I have, they have 2 more points of armor than I have, probably, right? So that's really challenging. If I can tie them up, a warlord for a warlord not on the field elsewhere, doesn't feel so bad. Maybe they're more impactful on the line than I would have been on the line. So if I keep them out of play, okay, cool. It just becomes a kiting game again. I don't necessarily have to fight them. And if it turns into, oh boy, I've now dragged them 50 yards away from where the objective is, well, I'm an assassin. And unless they are playing something that can vary, if it's AP or P, I can just go teleport away if I need to. Or whatever the case is, I can put myself in a position of hey man, here we are, I've kited you over here. Now I'm gonna oh, there's a wall? Sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and vanish from sight and put myself on the other side of this wall and then just get myself into a position to just leave you somewhere And maybe I can wound them, get them legged out in the field, and just bail. And the same, if there's a mismatch in skill,
Yeah.
sweet. If they're better than me, excellent. If I leg them for my team in this field and they can't heal, perfect. Like I've done my job and I took a key player out of the field, off the field for a while. Hopefully, if they don't get support for a healer, or they didn't have the ability to heal themselves, or they don't want to take the death for important enchantments on them, or whatever the case is, I didn't even have to beat them anymore. I just had to beat their leg, and that sort of changes the fighting mechanic as well, right?
So
Yeah, barbarian or assassin. That's the simple.
So really, it doesn't matter who you're going up against. It matters manipulating the game and the outcome so that whatever is actually happening is furthering your goal.
Yeah. How can I contribute to the team effort, whether I'm with a team of people that I know or solo? The biggest impact that I can have is identifying what the skills that I have that I am good at, and how do I leverage those to make us get W's. And if that means that I'm really in the mood to run that day, like, all right, I can best help by being the flag runner this time. Like, I can get myself in a good position. Maybe we can get a good push, and I will sprint like I've never sprinted in my life for the good of the cause, or, try to take key players away, or whatever happens to be the case while we're in. But that's understanding my own skills well and trying to then apply them, which I think everybody can learn. Like, hell, if you're the athletic kid and like you can't beat the warlord necessarily in a 1v1, okay, but can you run? Like, can you outrun that dude in his like 4 points of armor? Like, you take him on a little journey, harass him if he wants to ignore you, being the kid. Like, look, I hate the kids that run out of combat and they don't want to play and they're just track and fielding this whole thing. And I say hate loosely. I love you guys. You're just obnoxious. When you come back around and hit me in the back because I'm like, well, I can't catch this kid, I guess I'll go play where the game is, and I just get karate chopped in the spine, I'm like, internal screaming or external screaming at myself, just like, again with the, that is something that a player could leverage against somebody who is of higher skill. Like, it just shows that it's obnoxious and it works.
How can players better utilize teamwork?
Oh yeah, open your mouth, kids. Like, this is the see something, say something kind of lifestyle. It's more than just the airport. So realistic, and this is something that's always been challenging, and I feel bad because this conversation has come up in like, what makes a battle master, what makes a battle knight, like what are they doing, and my personal values on it sometimes are a little different, and I can jump into that in a second here. But having the ability to have a voice is extremely important on the field, whether you are a battle master or not. Your idea might seem outlandish and terrible. Building the shield wall with spears like we're in 300, and let's do it. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Most of the time it doesn't quite translate well to our game because of spell casting and spell balls and like whatever, and coordinating people to do it is very challenging. But if you can get someone to listen to your plan, you can try to execute it. So that means talk. You see someone flanking, please call it out. My goodness, if you've noticed that assassin is just like walking around behind us and they're not even insubstantial, but they're just meandering to the flank, say something. Heck, if somebody be like, hey man, but give them a little, like, hey, that guy is totally flanking, and it's fine to say, like, I don't know that I can beat him by myself. I need you to come with me. Totally fine. And anyways, even if you could beat him, it's better to have a buddy in this situation. You don't need to bring 10 people, because that's the now problem that we kind of talked about earlier. If we're sending 5 people to go fight the warlord, or 10, we weaken our line too much. But 2 people might be able to get it done, or deter that single player into changing their tactic and leaving. They're not getting that freebie run of backs because you've just gone and addressed it and put yourself in the way. It's just having a voice to say, like, that guy is flanking, or you can be very specific with it. Maybe you see Manima rolling to the side and he's got some grandiose plan, or at least the perception that there's a grandiose plan here. Call out where he's at. That's good too. Like, on the left, if you don't know the name of the person, let's say you just know their company, you recognize a torch or something on their tunic. Torch on the right, torch flanking, like something like that can be very useful. That will help everybody on your team become successful while you're battle gaming. Calling dead, I know people can cheese the dead call, and they do, and everybody sort of does it. I'm not shaming anybody for doing that. I would rather them say something than nothing, because nothing's so much worse. But yeah, don't be afraid to have a voice. That would be numero uno. You can call stuff out. Anybody can at any level. If you have a plan, you can try to direct people. get a battle buddy. We're pushing this flank. Let's go. You know, like it's our time. Like I think that stuff works really
A lot of
well.
people underestimate the usefulness of having a buddy with you. If you grab a person that has the opposite skill set of you, that can be huge. If I'm playing a caster, the number one thing that I'm looking for is a teammate with a shield and a point of armor to just stand in front of me a little bit and just like,
Yeah.
oh, all the arrows are going to hit you. That's perfect. And oh yeah, your problems I can fix and you can fix my problems. Like it's
Absolutely. Like if you are my goodness, if you were playing a caster, and some of this is on you, right? As an individual, just in any class that you're playing, you can't control others, but you can put yourself in positions that you can control. For example, oh boy, there's a warrior fighting right there. I'm gonna cast over this guy's shoulder. Or you see people fighting with pole arms and you're the sword and border. I can link up with them. You know, cool. Maybe I can help stop them from getting run, or I can actively try to block some things on the way in. Me getting frozen as the shield user, assuming I'm able to be frozen by an ice ball or something, is better than my pole arm guy getting frozen because they're probably putting on enough pressure to deter whatever the other line is doing and just pushing you guys back.
right.
A frozen statue border still blocking things because they exist right there. So you still have value even if you eat a spell ball so that they can still fight. So there's pros. I mean, all these things. So communicating super big, utilizing teamwork in general is just making sure to find what you're good at, like you kind of said here, and link up with other people, and suddenly you can really show how powerful the class is. Why make it easy for the opponents?
Yeah.
Like if I'm casting and I'm just the poor wizard, let's say I really went minimal equipment and I just have like a dagger and it's all dumped into spell, making it real easy for projectiles to be a problem generally, but it's a lot harder when there's a person in front of me. Maybe I'm just hanging out with the monk, you know? Okay, cool. Like that's fine too. Like, you know, somebody in the way of these things to keep me up and active so that I can help apply all that pressure that the class does is really an incredible thing. So yeah, battle buddy, voice. That's a good third one. I'm sure there's a good third one. There's got to be more than two things that you can do to to utilize teamwork. Well, it's more than two things technically, I guess, because there's so many little aspects of each
states,
piece.
you're talking about where people are, like
Yeah,
calling out what's directly in front of you and what's to the side is so huge.
Yeah, heck. My polearm guy just went down. I'm not playing a healer. I'm the border, and there's a healer that's like 10 feet from us, not paying attention to like what's going on here. Calling for the medic. It's just like every war movie you've ever seen. Medic! Healer! We need a res. You know, I need a res. I need a res. I need a release. I need mens for this guy right here. You know, you can pull in other players, and you'll help them as well hit their potential in their class. Not everybody is gung-ho, and it can be a little overbearing. So, like, you know, be careful. Not everybody wants to play the game that you want to play the game, and that's okay. They're just here on a weekend having a good time. So, like, do not get mad at them. I know that's a question somewhere in here. Cool. If not, I think it's important. Don't get mad at other players for not playing the game that you are trying to play. I have been one of those players. I think everybody who takes it seriously can be one of those players. It happens. Being mad at a healer who didn't take Dispel. Okay. It happens. Like, healer, you got a Dispel? Nope. Godspeed. You know, find somebody else. Maybe the wizard's got one. You know, nobody's got one. I guess, maybe, you know,
the wizard,
I've talked to 10. You know, I would sure hope so. But I shouldn't get mad at them. They are playing the game that they want to play. Maybe you decided you just wanted to have as many heat weapons as you could possibly cram into a list, and that's just your job. Just that day wasn't. Yeah, you just find somebody else. It's cool. No biggie. It's okay to have pet peeves, but you don't have to outwardly be mad at them or criticize their style of play. It's their style of play. That's you know, who knows? It's their weekend, you know? Like, people got jobs and kids and stuff. Like, just because we're obsessed with this doesn't mean they gotta be, you know?
I know exactly what you mean. Okay, I got some theory crafting that I want you to do now. Okay. Have you ever been to Bridge Wars?
So, I think the last one was 2010. I sent you that video. It's been a while.
Oh, man. You should try to make it to Bridge Wars this year. It's going to be awesome. But, so if you had to build a 10-player team for Bridge Wars, what class composition would you build for that? You can only have max two of each class. Max
2 of each class. Let's see, 10 players. I would have done some math before, so I'll have to get my pad and paper here. So 10 classes. It's probably like 2 paladins, 2 anti-paladins, 2 assassins, 2, 4, 6, and then a complement of 4 casters.
Okay.
and just rock and roll equipment between whatever seems to be effective. I mean, obviously there needs to be pole arms. If I can coordinate with, is it just strictly 10v10, or is it going to be your team of 10 and others
Nope.
versus a
10v10.
team of 10 and others? 10v10. So then just kind of coordinating on bringing all the equipment we could possibly want to use, and then adjusting for how the game is, how the match is going, depending how long the match is. Pole arms generally win bridge fights on top. Well, casting plus poles generally win fights on bridges, but the flanking is very powerful. And like even 10 years ago, when Raven, Adam Harrigan, when he was a young man, an extra young man, demonstrated even back then how powerful the flanking mechanic is into a bridge and how much pressure that can pull off the line. So then you can start gaining ground as you kind of push forward. Maybe it doesn't have to be two assassins. You could go like one assassin. Again, I did a 2-2-2 split because you asked me now and I hadn't thought about it. And then a healer is so incredibly strong. Maybe you go two, because the fact that Raise Dead is so good, the fact that Undead Minion is so good, maybe it's really into like, I don't know, what I got left for. Hell, it could be two healers, two druids. It could be one healer with the complement as many protection from magic slash effects that you can stack onto your guy. Naturalized magic is incredibly good still, so having access to that for druids is really good. Wizard, I really like, and I want to always fit them in. I think that there's always a place, but it depends on who I have playing the class, and you could maybe cut down one armored class for one very good wizard, so then it would come down to like which wizard, who's my wizard, right? Because a subpar wizard, I'd rather just have a good melee flanker than, or a dispel bot, to try to make sure that they don't have anything. Hell, an elemental barrage wizard could be very good on a line if you can hit key targets, but then that requires that person to be a hell of a throw. And so then you need a very good, like, ball wizard. And then that's assuming that the other team isn't into a ton of imbue shield slash, like, whatever to, like,
Yeah, you
kind
almost
of
need to
mitigate.
bring an extra dispel guy just to make the elemental barrage work.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if I had a naturalized magic druid and a ball wizard, and they want to hit that naturalized magic on the paladin into like an ice ball, they might just get released. You know, I mean, there's always going to be counterplay somewhere. Sometimes just raw offensive power is good. So just take, you could even go the other route and just say like, screw it, we have one healer and all melee classes, and we're just going to try to overrun whatever is going on in front of us and just not stress it, and see what that does. In the past, Barbarians Fight After Death would do that. It just, you know, they have to get their G releases off. Otherwise, you just have barbars kind of busting through. And then I guess it becomes, what's the actual mechanic for Bridge Wars and how am I scoring? Because if I don't know how we're scoring, if it's just like a battle of attrition on a bridge for like, let's say distance covered, that changes what I want. If it's like get to the other side, hit a thing to score, then I'm really going to try to leverage the flanking abilities of like assassins, or just teleport in general for classes to get them into that, put pressure on so it pulls guys off the line. Is there pole arm length restrictions, right? Like there's just, if there's no restrictions and it's just rules of play, I would also try to just bring the most mechanical advantage that I could possibly have and leverage that into a bridge fight. You know, if it's 15-foot pole arms and those are like numero uno, then cool, let's just get 15-foot pole arms. You can throw money at some of these problems, making sure that your team is heavily armored in a good way, you know, like what's, you know. So anyways, I've rambled for I feels like 10 minutes straight about like what I would hypothetically do into a bridge battle if I had to build a 10v10 and 2 minutes, but
I mean, I'm enjoying the rambling, so let's just keep
hopefully somebody else does too, because it's just I might do this thing and then, you know,
I'm
hope for the
hoping that
best on
somewhere
them.
out there's some kid that wants to be a battle master. It's taking notes on this, like, oh yeah, 15-foot poles, throw money at this. What's my credit card maximum? Figure out how to spend his way to a Bridge Wars win.
It's worked for Keep on the Borderlands, okay? 20 like 17-foot pole arms messed up that game. And then the year with all the arrows, right? Like 1,000 arrows with 40 archers.
Just an insane
like
number of bows and arrows.
There's a certain, like, is it objectively good? Probably not. But if you have a coordinated front and your opponents don't, in the same sense, like, yeah, we can build a team and I'm playing the class that I want, but like, what do you do if 40 people shoot arrows at you? Like, that sucks.
By
like,
volume at that point, you're just, what are you gonna do?
People are gonna get hit, and it's but anyways, that's a side thing. But technology worked there, right? Money got thrown at the problem, and or lucky accessibility to specific things, like cores that are even that length. Like that's unusual today. That's unusual. That was unusual then. Archery is expensive, so that becomes something that's, you know, somebody threw money at to make happen.
Right. Shifting gears just a little bit.
Yeah.
What is a weakness that you've had as a battle gamer that you've had to overcome, and what did you do to overcome it?
Well, I think it's the same weakness everybody has. Target priority, battlefield awareness is every weakness that you can probably think of is a weakness I probably had, and it's just something that I've had time to try to be cognizant of and work towards, because I like wanted to just be generically like good at this amp guard, this foam bat thing. And it's all stuff that you can overcome through practice, trial and error and effort, and never being afraid to like ask questions in general. Like, how can I improve? Right? Like what we're doing right now, like sitting down to like check out a video like this. This is a great way to maybe pick up something that may be useful to you. Maybe you know most of this, but maybe there's a trick you end up hearing. Yeah. And battlefield awareness and target priority are probably numero 1 and 2, however you want to look at it. Like they are bees knees interchangeable to me on like what I think is important, because then the sub part is like, what am I doing on the field? Am I casting? Am I support casting? Am I fighting? Am I trying to break lines? Am I flanking? What's my role? What's my job? And so my target priority and my battlefield awareness sort of change. Battlefield awareness is always sort of a thing that matters. I need to be able to see what's going on, but understanding who my priorities are, whether it be opposing players or people on my team, depending on the role that I'm filling. If you're a healer and you're taking this serious, or you want to take this serious, and your warlord is dead, it behooves you to get them back in the game. Or in this case, your battle master or your high skilled player who is doing their job, assuming they're doing their job. Not everybody's created equal. Not every battle master is the same. Every warrior is the same. You know, whatever warlord is the same. That doesn't necessarily matter, because generically they still have achieved that level, and they don't have to be the best to still be very effective and to still be very important to your overall gaming success when battling in teams. So my warlord's dead. My battle knight's dead. Sweet. I should probably resurrect them. Priority wise, if I have 3 people in front of me, and one of them, and I'm sorry, Skippy, and Skippy's going to be the new kid. Unfortunately, he's been playing for 6 months and has got all the gumption and enthusiasm. They deserve to have fun too, but I'm trying to be successful and win games, so I have to pick and choose about who's going to get rezzed. If I have a choice, I choose whichever of the 2, Lord or Battle Knight, I think is going to be the most effective immediately. Then the next one, then the third. Skippy is the third in that choice, unfortunately. And then one of the 2 others, depending how well I know them, is going to be who kind of gets rezzed. And if I don't know them, it could be proximity. If I'm 5 feet closer to the warlord, I probably just grab the warlord. If I look at them and then I understand like which class are they playing, which is going to help me right now more, and who needs to be up first. For example, if the battle knight is playing a healer as well, if I can get them up, we can get both the other players up faster than we could have if it was just me trying to get both of them up, and then that just now gets more bodies back into play. So target priority in a supportive role matter. Who needs enchantments? I should know, and that's as easy as just asking like, hey, would you like an enchantment? would I have the goods and I can give them to you? Or if you are a player who needs the enchantment, seeking out players who may have them so that you can get them. But that's not necessarily like the 2 top things. Battlefield awareness. Are you being flanked? Are you paying attention to that? Are you actually looking? Where's the flag? Do you know where it is? Or do you have no idea? Looking for those things, asking questions on the field. Where's the flag? It's perfectly acceptable if you don't know. It's okay. There's no reason to be embarrassed. Maybe they're doing something cheeky. Heck, maybe a player did not understand the rules and has decided to stick the flag in their shirt. And exactly. And asking the question or trying to verify with the Reeve if it's not against the rules, like, hey, do you know where the flag is? Now prompts them to go, is something inappropriate happening on the field? And that just your question now is just, you know, gone into a whole spiral of like, oh, cool, the flag's over there. I now know where it is. I can announce it to my friends. I can become aware of these things. Just at smallest story, it was just the May event here over Memorial Weekend. I am 4 feet from a healer. 4. I can see his eyeballs. I'm looking at him in the eye. Dad. And at a certain point, I literally decided to not wait for the resurrect from this guy. I just walked back to spawn. I was over a minute of standing here trying to get this guy without being like, hey, dude, do you want to like res me, please? I'm dead. I am so dead right now. Even some of that could be technically cheesing the rules and saying extra things. But at a certain point, I'm like, my goodness, this guy's not going to res me. He's playing level 6. Like, he's got it. I know he's got it, but no, I'm absolutely oblivious to what's going on next to him. Wasn't like actively in combat. There was 100% a lull. They were safe to do it for probably 30 of the 60 seconds before other people started to kind of get into combat. They weren't resin or healing somebody else. They weren't frozen. They were just like existing. And that is my biggest frustration, is seeing that players playing a support class like that and then isn't actually like involved in the game and like, oh, I'm so important, I should be rezzed. But not to toot my horn or whatever, but if we're talking about trying to be successful and that person doing the best they can for their team, they weren't doing anything. So them doing anything would have been better than doing nothing. Even ignoring me is fine. It would have been more useful. Them pushing to another part of the combat, getting involved in the combat that was like 20 or 30 feet ahead of them would have been good too. Like anything that they could have done would have been better than what was going on. So like, and it's, I don't know their name, not going to dog on them too much, but this does happen a lot. And if you find yourself doing it, that's okay. It can be as simple as just like, I'm playing a healer. Is anybody dead? Like even calling out like, who needs a heal? Who needs mends? Whatever the case is, like, and really just being active and playing your role, and you can role play into it.
Yeah.
Like if that helps you play the role better, like if I'm running around as healer right now, I've got like a Corman's medic bag with a big cross on it and everything, and it's hilarious. And I'm just like cruising through like explosions to try to like pick people up, and I'm just getting my role play on and having fun with it, and it's focused me into paying attention to what's going on the field. To my death, to some cases, like I got to get that guy, and not seeing that person who's going to shoot me right there, and just getting blasted. You can work on it. Everybody misses it. I know I tangent in stories and preach. Just heck, pick a guy, follow that person around. This person doesn't get to die today, and just go follow him around, sure, to the betterment or whatever. It'll be super cool. But yeah, there we go. I said things.
Okay, well, you already answered my other question about what are common mistakes and how you to avoid them. So you're on top of things there. Just,
I mean, is there any other common mistakes? I mean, outside of like miscasting, not understanding your spell list, not just asking for somebody to declare their enchantments.
So I've got some knight type questions for you.
Cool.
So, all right. What is the difference between a battle knight and a battle master?
Pretty much the same thing as all knighthoods, right? And there's been jokes for years about like what's the difference between like a warlord and a sword knight. One's usually like a nice guy and one's not. That's always been funny to me. But in, all kidding aside, knighthood is a service to Amtgard and like Amtgard National. Like if I go to any kingdom, I should generally be a decent example. Obviously I'm a human, I've got my faults and like whatever, but for the most part, I should be doing positive things that impact the game. So teaching, like what we're doing right now, hanging out in this video. This is a great example of taking the time to try to give something to the community, and doing that on my own outside of this is important too, right? Uplifting the people around me at park, trying to show them these mechanics. Keeping all of the secrets to yourself doesn't help grow the game as a whole. The better everybody gets, the better we all get, and the better I have to get. So as annoying as it is to be like, man, these guys are just using these tactics, it drives me crazy, they're doing such a good job. Well, I need to elevate too then, right? So the knight, to me, and basically every knighthood, they should be contributing and setting a good example. And if I'm in a field, I'm hopefully demonstrating those skills and even taking people and showing them even live. Like, all right, hey, 6-month newbie, let's try to flank this corner. Like, let's do it together. It's going to be awesome. Or ask them like, hey, what do you think we should do? Just getting them engaged and involved is just being a cool cat and trying to get them to really be a part of this. And when we get into the masterhood section, to me, that's almost always self-serving. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, right, these are rewards for excellence and the things that we are doing very well and trying to be very proficient at. It's a reflection of my personal skill level. I am a master of this thing. I've achieved something that is challenging and demonstrates that I have a expert kind of level understanding to some degree. And you can be an expert in one facet. You don't have to necessarily be an expert in all facets. That's not fair to say, like, That's the joke on Warlord too, is that like, well, Warlord should be able to slay anybody with every piece, but why can't you be an absolute top tier expert in a specific category of a thing? That's a different conversation. So for battle, same idea. You can basically demonstrate your greatness and superiority on the field. You should be effective and a problem, and basically most, or and not, doesn't have to be every aspect, but if I take the field, it should be an issue. And in a good way, obviously. Don't go misbehave, kids.
Don't be throwing hands.
But you should definitely be able to win the game. Were you the reason that your team scored? Did my sacrifice and pulling numbers away make an impact on the total value of the game? Did I command troops to help them push in specific locations? Am I just playing my class incredibly well and it's just a problem because it's pulling a lot of weight? I'm just casting and keeping. Nobody has weapons anymore because I've used heat weapon 47 times in the last 2 minutes or something, like whatever it is. That's just demonstrating your masterhood of the class. So the teacher versus the master, and you can still be a master. Obviously you're a master to be a teacher, but it's what you give back there for knighthood versus the personal part.
So if someone really wants to be a battle master, let's say that they're, let's use me as an example. I'm at 8 orders of the battle. I really want to be a battle master. What is something I can do to try to get from 8 to 10?
Well, we said it in the Barbarian video, I think, or I said it in the Barbarian video. Fun, small, achievable goals are always the thing, right? So if you're at 7 and you're going to 8, what do we just do to get to 8? And then once you achieve 8, what do you do to go from 8 to 9 and from 9 to 10 and everything like that, right? So examples of that. Well, what have you done thus far? This becomes an introspective sort of moment for yourself. You can think about like, okay, on the field, I'm playing my class very, very well. I've achieved paragons and specific classes. Okay, I'm leveraging them to a high degree. I've demonstrated that. Well, what other aspects are there to battle that matter? How do I now go do those to increase my overall effectiveness as a whole? And that will start to demonstrate why you should be the next level. So right now, you're playing wizard very well, yes?
Sure.
Like wizard guy, kicking it wizard style, making sure people don't have weapons or something. Whatever wizards do, I guess. I don't know. You throw balls good. So you've demonstrated that, but now these other aspects, and this is where I kind of mentioned it earlier that I would touch on it. The skill sets that I value for battle are your ability to command troops on the field to great success to win. If you never had to throw a sword, I say throw a sword, swing a sword, that would be more accurate. Don't throw swords, kids.
You throw shots.
You throw shots, I swear. Never throw a sword, unless it's a javelin. Those are cool. Can you make an impact and not cast a spell? Can you make an impact on the game and not throw a projectile, shoot an arrow, swing a sword? Can you change the outcome of the game with your voice? That leadership skill, in my opinion, is an extremely hard thing to really do, because you need to make people, often strangers, listen to you to win. I value that. I think that is one of the gifts that I have, and I've done that a bunch. I like the challenge. I've definitely gone out and been like, I don't even have weapons. How do we win this game? Can I rally people to do the work? And can we be effective? Hell, I wore a disguise. I dressed up as a pirate. I had a straw hat, a great big bushy beard, a muscle suit. I wore poofy pants and a squire's belt. And I ran around speaking like a pirate to try to make a game happen, to make a game win. Your creativity is what matters here, and being able to demonstrate the skill set matters. I also went and I took my squire and I dressed him up like me. So I put him in all of my stuff and put a helmet mask on him where you couldn't see his face, but we are not the same size person. He had a legitimately big bushy beard and I always look like this. So I had a decoy, I had myself, and then tried to, and I'm pretty sure I played that game with no weapons, or like I had a sword coincidentally if I had to like do something. So pushing to your net, like that's just that's an example, right? You can do, what's your limitation? Like, can I now, maybe I just go, okay, I'm going to try to bring technology to my team for them to be successful. And I say in ancient times now, I made 300 small thrown weapons for my team. Here you go. Everybody who can use one, you have them. These are yours to use. I don't care if I ever see them again. Let's go and be, I have now armed a team of people
Mhm.
with something to be successful, hopefully, right? I'm giving my team an advantage. 300 throwies is 300 throwies that the other team does not have. Like, my goodness, is that impactful all of a sudden. So using leadership skills, using your voice, equipment, just anything that you may not be doing now or doing as much as you could, you can start to shift into. And obviously, you will still be more effective if you're playing your class while doing this, but it's just an example. Like, if you didn't even, I'm pretty sure I got one of these Paragons. That sounds more full myself. It's just been a while, so I don't remember all of it. But I'm pretty sure one of the examples in one of the recommendations was I watched him go out there and he didn't even have weapons, and he just leveraged the class without weapons. I went to a wetlands event, just I'll segue into a small story, with Megiddo, Noah Smith, the guy who made the orc and everything. And we went to a wetlands event. We both played warriors. We were shield maidens to Sir Shadow. We didn't bring swords. We just had shields and armor, and we walked around pointing and yelling at people as shield maidens who would not touch our Lord and Savior, Sir Shadow. And the amount of spells I had cast on me and not Sir Shadow is staggering. I didn't have a sword. And we just buddied around trying to make him very successful by insulting people with insult. And just like, you must fight me, and then
behold my defensive ability,
and just really hammed it up.
Yeah.
And then just demonstrating other skills. And if enough people, the worst part about making yourself noticeable is that you're noticed. The more people see you, the more people see you, and but at a certain point, like, okay, cool. So the real flex is going out and being able to command troops and not even have to really participate, and just having a great awareness to like what's going on in the field, where people need to go, trying to move troops to other sections, making sure you're reinforcing where it needs to be reinforced. And if you can do that, you're a master, as far as I'm concerned, because you need strangers to listen to you.
Yeah.
And and I was very concerned. This is on my this battle belt stuff, that this concept would only cause negatives and toxicity to essentially the lower skill or the new players, because who wants to listen to the 2-year newbie when you have the 8th order guy or the 9th order guy who's charismatic and is really pushing and is like, nah man, that's stupid, we're gonna do this, and they get shot down and they don't really even get to like work those skills. So now, again, the Battle Master is a little self-serving. The Battle Knight should encourage that person then and try to make, it doesn't really matter if we win or lose at the end of the day. Like, it's fun to win and it's fun to do this, but like, I don't know, let's support that kid. Maybe he becomes that next person who's incredible because we encourage them early. And I've been guilty of definitely not being encouraging on my own paths. Like, it's hard, you set goals and it's hard to always be a good example, but I would encourage people to try, while you're doing this. So, So to go from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, what are the other things? What else can you do? Yeah. Maybe you want to bring battlefield walls. Maybe you build yourself some structures to bring. Yeah, the game designer can tell you no. It's fine. But sometimes it just adds to their game anyways, because now you've brought more pieces of terrain to like throw out on the field, and But yeah.
Okay, let's see. So, how important do you think it is to be part of a belt line if you want to become a knight?
So, sort of a loaded topic when we talk about like people getting belted and everything. I don't want to only speak like negativity. It's any social group in any place where any award system exists. There's always going to be a sort of biased favoritism to the popular individuals. It's kind of how it goes. If you're a likable person, well, yeah, you're going to get stuff. Like, people like you. Like, that's the idea. It's going to be harder. And to the less negative, if you're very quiet and underrepresented, it'll be harder for you as well than the outspoken, outgoing individual, right? That's just, again, noticed popularity makes a big difference. Now, that being said, a little disclaimer on that. Belt line important? I mean, I guess technically it is easier if you are in a belt line to get knighted because you have personal relationships with people that have already done this. So you're getting firsthand experience and knowledge. You get to avoid all of the mistakes early to get yourself on the fast track, essentially, to get belted. Like, I mean, my goodness, you can really skip a lot of trial and error with people who've been playing a long time. So they have the cheat sheets. Now, it doesn't mean that those knights won't give you that knowledge freely. Not everybody does, because people are people, but more people now want to teach and encourage others to grow regardless of beltline. It's easier probably today than it was 10 years ago and 10 years before that, because the information is just so freely and readily available. I mean, if you really want to game the system, always be friend with whoever's the monarch and awards will come. But obviously it's mostly a joke. It's not quite a joke. It's a little bit of a joke. It should be a joke.
Just went through the whole gambit of this as a joke or not.
Every kingdom's a little different.
Right.
And it's a bummer when people aren't represented and when they don't receive things that they probably deserve. And then that's hard to say, because you should never have this expectation that I deserve to be rewarded because I did XYZ. Like, that's a sucky way to get yourself really angry at Amtgard in general and at people in general, because you're not owed a damn thing. Nobody's owed anything. Like, you really aren't. If you feel like you get missed, okay, well, you could adopt the mindset of, well, maybe I just need to work harder. If you think you're working hard enough, are you really though? Like, we've established a few things that people may not have even thought of to try when pushing for battle today in this video. And that's not even talking about your flame service. That's not talking about your crown service. That's not talking about any of these other knighthoods. That's purely just this one. It applies to all of them. If I don't get an award from whatever monarch, it was their decision to award me or not. Maybe I didn't get a lot of recommendations. Maybe I didn't get any recommendations. Maybe I'm just not getting noticed enough. Okay, so maybe I need to identify that, and I can work on getting myself publicized a little better. Not begging for awards, because you shouldn't do that. That's a little lowbrow. You do want to get represented, but like, you can make yourself noticed by going like, okay, I definitely want to be autocrat at this event. I'm going to put in a sick bid. I'm going to get people together. We're going to get there. On the battlefield, I'm dressing in a way that people notice me. I'm now very vocal. My voice is there. I am heard. I am seen. This now gets people's attention. In some ways, no publicity is bad publicity. Like, you yelled at the Reeves. Well, I apologized. Whatever the case is, like,
yeah,
people are talking about you, and that then is gonna help you in the long run, unless it's egregious negative stuff, right? Like, and I'm not encouraging you to do egregious negative stuff, but you want to be on the forefront of people's minds in general. So like the belted family stuff, yeah, it matters, but that's the cheat sheet mostly. Like, people can definitely solo this. It could be harder, but you can get all this information by just asking local people. Ask a knight. Just like, hey man, what did you do to get there? Like, do you have any advice for me on this journey? I would love to, try to get to knighthood someday. I'm at whatever order of the warrior. What should I be doing? Like, what in your advice? And ask somebody else. You might get two totally different answers. Maybe you can apply a mix of those things and then, grow. And, if you're not likable, you're going to have a terrible time. Like, it's going to be really hard. You got to be a little likable, okay? Just a little.
Just a little bit. A little bit. Okay.
But not to kick a horse. Knighthood to me is just and the squire family thing is different to some degree. I'm pretty choosy on who I squire, because to me it's 100% a personal relationship. It's not, and that it hasn't always been my opinion, but for the last decade that's been my opinion. I haven't been a knight for a decade, but my opinion's just kind of changed on belted stuff. It's personal relationship. I want to invite this person to like Christmas. I want them to hang out with like me and my 4-year-old, we're gonna go and do things outside of Amtgard because it's that chosen kind of family thing. This person's somebody that I love, respect, whatever. We're super tight. I'm not just throwing it on like somebody across the country I can't support, because I can't support them. I do them a disservice. I can't give them what they could really need, and I want to do a good job by them. So I'm pretty picky about it because of that. And instead, I've just adopted anyone who wants information, I just give to freely. Like doing the video thing I did last night, I was sent a message to help out with a fight video. I reviewed it. And I sent a video back that was like 13 minutes long, just kind of giving my 2 cents. That person's not my squire. I've never met them. I'm just happy to give knowledge freely. So don't have to be a squire to get it and to excel at this game these days. You don't have to be in a belted family if you don't want to.
For Battle Master and Battle Knight specifically, do you think being in a fighting company is the same boat? Do you think it matters less, more? Where do you feel about that?
It probably matters more. Like, because it's people that you're going to field with regularly, so they enhance your success rate because you just have people that you can work with regularly. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not in a company and I'm just kind of starting off. I haven't made a ton of friends yet, but I have some. I mean, if they're in a company, they're probably kicking it with their company. I'm probably left to my own devices. So they always, or if it's not a company, just people that you field with regularly, it could be a household or whatever, some cohesive unit of individuals, you're gonna just kind of technically do better, I think. Like, I just think the math says I have people to play with and you don't, and we're gonna work better than the other way. It doesn't necessarily get you more awards unless your friends are spamming the kingdom to give you awards, which there's the whole thing about that, which we don't have to get into. I think if you're deserving and you put yourself in a position to be so undeniably good at the thing, you'll just get the thing. And that applies to the Paragons. I think I even said it in the Paragon video. I may not have, but I've said it before, so I'll say it again. If you didn't get the award you thought you deserved, work harder. Fight harder. Hell, it could be a detriment to fight with everybody, because if, let's say, you're the like middle level guy in your fighting company and there's somebody very polarizing getting all the attention, you're now in a position where, oh, I'm not even getting the attention now. It's the polarizing person that everybody sees. Now, if you do all of those skills inside of your fighting company that we've sort of talked about through the video so far, that'll help you become the polarizing person, so you'll probably get noticed. And it could even be as simple as like, hey, I really want to take a command role in this game. You know, let's do that as a unit. That'll be super fun, and just give everybody a chance to shine then. And then you're just demonstrating the other skill sets while you're in your company. So yeah, it's got to be easier. Simple answers. Yeah, probably.
Right. I like it. So final two questions. First off, you already kind of answered this in your last video, but are you working on anything new? Is anything cool going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm on week 9 of the PT rest for like breaking my back again. So I saw a surgeon on May 8th. Everything is good. As good as breaking your back can be. I fought a little bit at SKBC and I fought a little bit at MAME. More at MAME than I did at SKBC. I fought for like 2 hours at SKBC, I think collectively over 3 days, which is not a whole lot.
That's not very much.
That's a pretty small. They told me to take it easy, But working on just getting myself into a position to really hit this game again. I noticed some things at SKBC I didn't like about what I was doing fighting wise. I think I still performed quite well, like all things considered, for no fitness, no fighting, having to be careful. I still think I had a decent showing, but I could tell there's a little bit of like, I'm a little slow. I gotta figure it out again, and I'm having to try to learn some new fighting skills that are going to hopefully be less taxing on my poor spine. So all the fun stuff where I'm not spinning, snapping, flying through the air, I probably have to abandon all that. So coming up and working on just getting right back into practice, trying to find a safe way to do it for myself. And then there's events. We're into event season, so I mean, my gosh, all the Polaris events. I want to go to the GAC event. It's great Adventurers Challenge. It's generally a role play sort of questy event, but that goes on for a couple days.
That sounds
really fun experience. Anyone who went to the last one, I'll disclaimer, the last one was a special case. They wanted to run a Knoblander style event. For anyone who understands what Knoblander is, it's a 24-hour battle game, world battle with like quests and things where your team collectively is scoring a lot of points, and the team with the most points collectively, and this is 2 big teams versus each other on an all-night battle, wins. And there's like turn-ins, and it's very complex. That one was not a lot of fun for a lot of people, and it's not anybody who ran it. American and Boulder were the war autocrat people for that. They did a great job, and they wanted a highly competitive 24-hour battle. It had problems, which is okay. But the format that they're doing for this upcoming one is a little more of the classic. There'll be questing into battle games that will help shape the quests and how the battle games kind of go throughout the event. Very fun, pretty loose, all good vibes. Still, it's always competitive if you make it competitive, but it's an opportunity to mix in role play with battle gaming and questing. So very cool. So that's coming up, and then we've got our Autumn Battlegrounds event, and I think that's like October, but that's the competitive battle gaming. They're trying to shift into this, how do we make more opportunities for the Battle Master push, Paragon push, which, I think objectively is good. We want to have access to opportunities, access to tournaments for warlords and stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I guess I'll just ramble. I don't know. I'm gonna be super busy. As long as my body holds up, I'm stoked.
Cool. Do you have any final advice for all of our aspiring battle masters out there?
Yeah, let's see. Not to use the same advice as the other video, because some of it's universal, right? But remember to ask questions. Try to be humble. It's okay if you don't know all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes on the rules. If you feel like you know them, that's fine. They're ever changing. Trying to be too frustrated when they change. It's okay to stick up for yourself if you know you're right. But in the moment, probably not worth a fight. Just go, okay, cool, I take that call, and move yourself on to the next thing. And you can always address the issues after the battle is done. You know, just play, have fun, try to keep it loose, and set those achievable goals. I'm gonna harp on that. All those little goals are achievable. Pick a new skill, go work on it. It'll be awesome. Find somebody you can share your accomplishments with in a way that doesn't seem like you're pandering for praise. And what I mean by that is, you know, if I tell you, okay, I'm gonna try to make it to practice 3 days this week, and when I go to my park practice, I'm gonna work on this like no weapon skill set, and we're just gonna see if I can do it. And maybe that's what you did, and then you can roll back and be like, dude, I totally did it. I managed to like score whatever point with no weapons. Just do it privately. If you don't do it publicly, it doesn't seem like you're pandering, right? You can do it between your buddies. You're like, yeah, I totally did it. And then you'll get your friends who love you to either make fun of you a little bit, because that's always fun. That's, friends do that. And just that support that you generally need. If you don't have people for that, that's okay. You can pat yourself on the back and be like, I met my goal. Like, I did it. I managed to like play that whole game with one throwy, or whatever. You pick a skill and it'll be so cool. Been there, done that. It's worth it. Yeah, I think that's it's pretty good. Just stay happy, stay loose, be creative. It'll be fun.
Well, a special thank you to Sir Deathlilly Megatron Sunshine. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. To you, our viewers, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please be sure to subscribe for more battle gaming content. Check out swiftguard.com. There's a link down in the description. It's going to be the premier spellbook app. All the best wizards are using it. I guess the other classes can too, but it's really good. Check it out. It's got some neat features. If you want to see Sir Deathlilly Megatron Sunshine come back on the show, let me know down in the comments which one of his mini paragons we should bring him back on for. I think that'd be super fun. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.